Klay Thompson's dad ended up checking Monica McNutt and everybody who has the same ideology that she has when it comes to why Caitlin Clark is famous and why she's such a big phenomenon in this world, man.
When Mychal Thompson, NBA champion and father of Klay Thompson, admitted he was actually starstruck meeting Caitlin Clark, I had to rewind the interview. This is a man who won NBA titles with Magic Johnson, played against greats such as Michael Jordan and Larry Bird, raised a multiple-time NBA champion in Klay, and has been around basketball royalty his entire life. Yet there he was, gushing about a WNBA phenom.
Well, they don't like Caitlin Clark. You know, Caitlin Clark, I've been noticing, I've been following her career since she was a sophomore at Iowa, and I recognized how different she was, how different she played the game. She played the game like Steph Curry. We had never seen a woman play like that before.
Meanwhile, ESPN's Monica McNutt can't seem to stop undermining Clark's achievements. Her latest take suggesting Clark's popularity stems from being a white girl from the middle of America isn't just offensive, it's part of a pattern. Not her breathtaking logo threes, not her generational court vision, not the genuine way she brings joy to millions of fans and sets a great example for kids, but instead, how she looks. The question is, why would someone with McNutt's platform consistently target the player who's bringing millions of new fans to women's basketball? And what did Mychal say that is putting McNutt in her place? Are you ready? Let's go.
Why her?
Same thing.
Why her?
Well, I was just about to say same thing for Angel Reese when I had a chance to cover their games. But I think Caitlin represented, and again, some of this to me probably is not fair to her because it was not anything that she said or was truly based on her personality, but she was a white girl from the middle of America.
Monica McNutt just crossed a line that many ESPN analysts know better than to approach. During a recent BBC interview with special correspondent Katty Kay, McNutt decided to attribute Caitlin Clark's meteoric rise to something other than her generational talent. She reduced everything to the way Clark looks and apparently what she represents.
And so she represented a whole lot to a lot of people, whether that is truly what she prescribed to or not. We can all say she is a dynamic basketball player and a force both on the court and the marketing sense. But I do think, same thing with folks that may have fallen in love with Angel Reese that may or may not have agreed with everything they had to say either. We attach our fandom to these icons for all types of reasons.
Let that sink in for a moment. According to McNutt, it's not Clark's NCAA scoring records that drew fans, not her no-look passes or her sick crossovers that leave defenders frozen, not her deep three-pointers that changed how women's basketball is played, not with the flair she interacts with fans, nor how she makes time for kids, nor her positive representation of the sport. Nope. Apparently, it's primarily about her being white and Midwestern.
The WNBA and all the people that follow the WNBA and try to promote the WNBA don't understand that Caitlin Clark's game resonates with us. I say this every day, and every day I got to deal with somebody else dumb in the media. Caitlin Clark's game resonates because she's got flair, she's got flash, she's got style. I said this before, and I'll say this again. We saw Sue Bird's game. We saw Diana Taurasi's game. Kim Mulkey was Sue Bird before Sue Bird became Sue Bird. We've seen it. We haven't seen Caitlin Clark.
This dismissive take ignores the actual reasons millions tune in to watch Clark play. While McNutt was busy reducing Clark to her demographic profile, the Indiana Fever were busy scheduling an unprecedented 41 nationally televised games for 2025. Networks don't commit those resources because of a player's background. They do it because viewers can't get enough of watching genuine excellence on the court.
The folks that cover the NBA, these people that play in the NBA, these people that cover the NBA, there I said these people, all of you, black, white, green, purple, why don't you understand a very simple thing? Her game is dynamic. Like Diana Taurasi was like a jackass to Caitlin Clark. Why? Her game is what people are drawn to. And then you go to the personality. Her game is different than any WNBA woman ever. And she wins, and she shoots from deep. It's no different than Steph Curry. How many times we got to say it?
What makes McNutt's comments particularly troubling is how they strip away Clark's agency and decade-plus of relentless skill development. Every behind-the-back pass, every logo three. These weren't gifts bestowed by privilege, but skills honed through thousands of hours in empty gyms when nobody was watching. McNutt conveniently glosses over the fact that Clark led the entire league in assists as a rookie while adapting to a completely new level of play.
But honestly, the main reason is because of her talents. It's not because of her race. Her race has nothing to do with it. You know, especially with kids. She's saying kids don't see color, man. The kids that I grew up around, and when I grew up as a kid, I didn't see color, man. I did not see color. I didn't care about color. I didn't know what color was. I just knew you were a human being, and I was trying to be your friend. It's kind of a crazy, nonsensical take to say that kids were looking up to her because she was white.
The hypocrisy is stunning when you consider McNutt collects a paycheck from the same ESPN that broadcasts Clark's games and benefits tremendously from her popularity. It's the sports media equivalent of biting the hand that feeds you, while simultaneously suggesting the hand doesn't deserve to be fed in the first place.
There's all type of nationalities and ethnicities that follow Caitlin Clark and rock with her. So it's not that. I don't think that's the case.
Fans didn't take this lying down. Social media exploded with outrage following McNutt's comments. One user on X wrote, "She should be fired immediately," as hashtags trended and clips of her statement circulated widely. The backlash wasn't just about defending Clark. It was about pushing back against the insulting implication that Clark's diverse fan base supports her because of racial identity rather than basketball brilliance. What McNutt failed to grasp is that Clark's appeal transcends demographics. Visit any Fever game, and you'll see fans of all backgrounds wearing her jersey. Talk to them, and they'll mention her court vision, her fearlessness taking shots most players wouldn't dream of attempting, her competitiveness. Not once will they mention her being a white girl from the middle of America.
But hey, it's every day. I don't know why Monica McNutt or anybody that professes to know basketball can't simply say, you know, her game's just different than everybody we've ever seen. Ever. Now, don't tell me. I've watched. Ever. Tamika Catchy's great player. Seen her game.
The backlash to McNutt's racial comments is just the latest chapter in what appears to be a personal vendetta against the WNBA's brightest star. This wasn't an isolated incident or momentary slip-up. McNutt has been consistently moving the goalposts whenever Clark achieves something remarkable.
Della Dunn, Sabrina, Brianna, Kelsey, Diana Taurasi. You had and have these white players in the league that never galvanized the people like this. All right. Now, granted, you can have some people come back and say, well, the media and the coverage wasn't as good as it is now. NILs and things like that weren't popping off. That has nothing to do with it. That has nothing to do with it, man. If they were that captivating, they would have got the eyes.
Just look at the Rookie of the Year debate last year. When Clark was putting up historic numbers as a first-year player, McNutt suddenly decided team success should be the primary criterion. She appeared on ESPN's Get Up, declaring her support for Angel Reese over Clark specifically because the Chicago Sky were in the playoffs at the time, while the Indiana Fever were not. Convenient how individual excellence became secondary the moment Clark dominated those statistical categories.
You would have the Sky in the playoffs right now, which means that Angel Reese, in theory, has impacted winning in a greater way. But I think the double-double streak that she's on, the 8 consecutive double-doubles, for Caitlin, she's leading rookies in points, minutes, and assists. There was terrific stats put out over the weekend by our colleague Mychal Thompson about the percentage, about her being the player that has seen the most blitzes in the league. And so she's navigating a different level of defensive intensity, and rightfully so, because she's playing a point guard role for this Fever squad. So I think today, looking at the standings, you probably tend to lean Angel.
You'll notice this pattern everywhere in McNutt's commentary. When Clark breaks records or achieves something unprecedented, McNutt shifts to team performance. When the conversation turns to Clark's impact on growing the game, McNutt finds ways to credit other players or external factors. The inconsistency is nothing short of remarkable. Her evaluation criteria mysteriously transform, depending on whether they might favor Clark. Watch McNutt's body language during ESPN segments featuring Clark highlights. The eye rolls, dismissive hand gestures, and visibly restrained enthusiasm stand in stark contrast to her animated discussions about other rookies. This nonverbal communication speaks volumes about her underlying attitudes toward Clark. Remember when she even admitted jealousy existed?
To me, yeah, jealous, sure. I mean, would you be jealous of somebody that got $28 million a shoe deal or whatever the deal is before you step foot in the pros, right?
Yeah.
Her social media activity tells an equally revealing story. McNutt has repeatedly liked and retweeted posts diminishing Clark's achievements or suggesting she's overhyped. These digital breadcrumbs create a clear trail of bias that extends beyond her on-air commentary, further cementing the perception that her criticism stems from something personal rather than professional analysis.
When you go watch Caitlin Clark, I did this. I went to go to a Fever game, not because I'm so enamored with women's basketball or because I'm so enamored with Caitlin Clark. No, I wanted to see what it was like on the court. Who did my eyes go to? And without question, it was a game against Phoenix. Big old Brittany Griner's out there. Very hot Sophie Cunningham is out there, but they didn't matter. All eyes go to Caitlin Clark because of the way she plays, the way she competes, the way she's a little bit, to use Shannon Sharps, we're a little nasty on the court, nasty to her teammates. She's screaming at a ref right in front of us. I had first row seats right there under the basket. Fantastic.
What's particularly interesting is how McNutt's tone shifted after Clark's popularity exploded. Early in Clark's college career, McNutt's commentary was notably more balanced. But as Clark began drawing unprecedented attention to women's basketball, McNutt's criticism intensified proportionally. This timeline suggests something beyond basketball analysis might be driving her commentary. Perhaps discomfort with Clark's meteoric rise or resentment of the attention she receives.
Her game's different than ours. Her game's special. They always got to go to Little White Girl. I didn't hear anybody going to Little White Girl with Diana Taurasi. Why is that? I don't know. There's a jealousy there, no question. But they just can't bring themselves to say, we've never seen this before. I've seen more basketball in a year than Monica McNutt has seen in her lifetime.
The pattern becomes impossible to ignore when viewed collectively. The selective application of different standards, the visibly different approach to Clark versus other players, the social media trail, and the timing of her increasingly negative commentary all point toward the same conclusion. What we're witnessing isn't objective analysis, but a personal bias masquerading as professional commentary. So what exactly did an LA Laker legend say to put her in her place and defend Caitlin Clark?
And I knew once she got further along in her career in college, I used to tell all my colleagues who are not into women's basketball, I say, hey man, you got to check out this girl in Iowa, man. She shoots from the logo. She shoots from almost half court. She's different.
Just as the fog of bias settles around Clark's narrative, enter Mychal Thompson, a man whose basketball wisdom was forged alongside Magic Johnson during the Lakers' championship runs. While McNutt weaponizes opinions disguised as analysis, Thompson brings something far more valuable to the conversation. Perspective earned through decades at basketball's highest levels.
And I was trying to emphasize it for about a year, then it finally caught on. And men who travel with us in our traveling party who are basically anti-women's basketball, just didn't care for it, didn't want to talk about it, had no interest in it at all. All of a sudden, they started watching Caitlin Clark and got intrigued by her, and they became fans of her and her game.
Thompson isn't just any commentator weighing in. As a two-time NBA champion with the Lakers in the 80s and current Lakers broadcaster, his basketball judgment carries the weight of experience most analysts can only dream about. When someone who's shared the court with Magic Johnson and watched his son Klay develop into one of the greatest shooters in NBA history offers an assessment, basketball fans listen. What makes Thompson's defense of Clark particularly powerful is something that defies the natural order of the basketball universe. In a stunning admission that speaks volumes, Thompson confessed to something nearly unheard of from a veteran of his stature.
Damn near half the crowd would cheer when they scored. Is this everywhere?
I don't care. When I was in Indy, I didn't care about that. The only thing I remember about Indy is when I was leaving Cambridge Arena in a loading dock, Caitlin Clark walked right by me, and I froze. I didn't say hello to her. How about that? My favorite basketball player outside of Klay was right there in front of me. There she was, and I said, no, I can't do it. But getting back to your question, you're right. That's what I remember most about Indiana. Caitlin Clark is right there next to me.
Think about what this means. A man who battled against Larry Bird, played alongside Magic, and has witnessed countless NBA legends up close was literally starstruck by a WNBA phenom. This isn't just a compliment. It's a complete inversion of the usual power dynamic in basketball, where veterans command respect from newcomers, not the other way around.
Now that she's in the WNBA, man, I tell you, she needs a Jeep endorsement commercial, because Jeep is an acronym that I've come up with of the way she has been treated and not welcomed into the WNBA.
Thompson doesn't just offer empty praise. He provides a framework for understanding the barrage of criticism aimed at Clark. He calls it the Jeep theory: jealousy, envy, egos, and pettiness. In Thompson's eyes, these 4 factors drive the anti-Clark narrative, not legitimate basketball concerns. Coming from someone with no personal connection to Clark, this assessment cuts through the noise with surgical precision.
The acronym is JEEP, and that stands for jealousy, envy, egos, and pettiness.
Perhaps most telling is Thompson's comparison between Clark and NBA superstar Steph Curry. "I recognized how different she was, how different she played the game. She played the game like Steph Curry," Thompson observed. This comparison isn't casual. It specifically identifies what makes Clark special: a revolutionary shooting ability paired with exceptional court vision that's changing how the game is played. The reactions from basketball purists to Thompson's endorsement have been overwhelming. Fans who respect the game's history recognize that Thompson has nothing to gain from this defense. He's simply calling it as he sees it, based on a basketball knowledge base few can match. His assessment doesn't stem from clicks, controversy, or clout chasing. It comes from recognizing generational talent when he sees it.
And it is absolutely a stated fact. You watch Caitlin Clark, you go to a game, all eyes on her. Why? The way it is. The way it was actually with Reggie Miller. I remember going to Market Square. I didn't know Reggie Miller was great. This is early. All eyes on him. Jordan, all eyes on him. Very few all eyes on. You can say whatever you want about about Charles Barkley not winning a championship, but when you went to a game and Charles was playing, all eyes were on Sir Charles. Period. I'm sure it was the same way in hockey, all eyes on Gretzky, but I get it. These folks can't understand that. The women of the WNBA can't understand that. They know it. They can't admit it.
What makes his validation so devastating to Clark's critics is its purity. Thompson's defense springs solely from his basketball expertise. He sees in Clark what the data clearly shows: a transformative talent whose impact transcends standard player expectations. Where McNutt finds reasons to diminish, Thompson finds reasons to celebrate. Thompson's validation of Clark comes at the perfect moment, as the Fever are quietly assembling what could become one of the most dangerous young cores in basketball history. What many fans don't realize is that Indiana's front office has been methodically building a foundation that extends far beyond their star player.
Sydney Colson is a 2-time WNBA champion, a true vet, an amazing backup point guard. And anytime that CC or any of the guards need to go to the bench, Sydney Colson always makes the right call, always makes the right decision. So to pick up a vet, a professional like Sydney Colson, and then you also have a vet like DeWanna Bonner, and you also have a vet like Kelsey Mitchell, and then you have Cece and Aaliyah Boston and Lexi. And
the current roster presents a fascinating blend of youth and emerging talent. Alongside Clark, Aaliyah Boston stands as a cornerstone, the former #1 pick who's already established herself as a force in the paint. Add Lexi Hull's defensive tenacity and Kelsey Mitchell's scoring punch, and you're looking at a Fab Four with championship potential. This isn't just another rebuilding team. It's a group with complementary skills that fit together like puzzle pieces. Yes, Clark's rookie campaign had its challenges. The adjustment to professional competition brought inevitable growing pains. Defenders physically tested her, rotations changed frequently, referees often ate up their whistles, and expectations soared to unrealistic heights. Yet through those struggles, something remarkable happened. The team showed genuine signs of improvement. Their trajectory shifted noticeably upward, especially during the latter half of the season when chemistry began to develop.
I also want our players to use their instincts and to play free. We want to make plays, not run plays, right? We want to have sets that give us certain spacing that we want, depending upon our rotations, who's on the floor, who we want to attack, what matchups we want to get to, how can we manipulate them. So we'll have certain play calls that just give us space to operate. And then whichever play we make, whichever pass we make determines, one of 3 actions that our players can read from. And so really giving them the freedom to play within a system.
What's genuinely exciting is the structural transformation happening behind the scenes. The upcoming coaching change to Stephanie White signal a fundamental shift in philosophy, one that will likely emphasize maximizing Clark's unique court vision and shooting range. The new leadership understands they've got a generational talent who requires a specialized approach. Rather than forcing Clark into conventional systems, they're building frameworks that amplify her strengths.
I'm not one of those coaches that is going to be set in her ways. Not one of those coaches that that isn't, I'm willing to try new things.
The unprecedented media spotlight brings advantages beyond just visibility. When players know they'll be performing on national broadcasts regularly, it changes their preparation, their mentality, and ultimately, their performance. For younger players developing their games, this means accelerated growth through high-pressure situations. For prospective free agents weighing their options, Indiana suddenly becomes a destination that offers maximum exposure.
We're bringing more and more fans to this league, people that have maybe never watched the WNBA before, and it kind of takes your breath away at points.
Particularly intriguing is the Boston and Clark partnership that's just beginning to blossom. Few teams can boast a young inside-outside duo with this much potential. Boston's post presence creates spacing for Clark's perimeter game, while Clark's passing vision generates easy buckets for Boston. As they learn each other's tendencies and preferences, this pairing could become the WNBA's most feared offensive combination. Add in the veteran battle-tested free agents such as DeWanna Bonner, Natasha Howard, Sydney Colson, Sophie Cunningham, and Brianna Turner, and you've got a championship team waiting to happen. The statistical models for point guards entering their sophomore seasons suggest Clark is poised for a significant leap forward. Typically, elite floor generals show marked improvement in efficiency metrics during year 2 as the game slows down for them mentally. Their assist-to-turnover ratios improve, shooting percentages climb, and defensive awareness sharpens. Clark's rookie numbers already placed her among the league's elite distributors. Imagine what happens when she's fully comfortable.
She accuses little girls of supporting Caitlin Clark because she's white. The argument would hold far more weight if Clark were the first of her kind. She is not. Clark is not the first white woman to show she belongs on the basketball court. If little girls were so desperate to find a white woman to root for, they would have taken a similar liking to, say, Kelsey Plum. She set all kind of records. How about Sabrina Ionescu? Sabrina Ionescu is being thrown in our face. Nobody knows who the hell she is on these commercials, but that's all right. Or Cameron Brink. Cameron Brink's trying hard, man. Cameron Brink, she trying hard. She got makeup going. She got hair going. She's trying. Good for her, man. They didn't. Granted, McNutt's mission is not to be honest or informed. Her mission is to appease Black Twitter and the WNBA who are jealous of Clark.
You know what sticks out about Mychal Thompson's reaction to Caitlin Clark? This NBA champion who played with legends like Magic Johnson, a guy who's seen it all, was literally starstruck when he met her. That's what real basketball minds see in Clark that critics like McNutt refuse to acknowledge. Thompson's Jeep theory perfectly captures what's happening: the jealousy, envy, egos, and pettiness driving the anti-Clark narratives. While the haters keep hating, Clark and the Fever are building something special that will speak louder than any analyst's take ever could. The basketball itself will force even her most stubborn critics to eventually face an undeniable truth. Do you agree? Let us know in the comments how excited you are. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we will see you in the next one.